Thank you for tuning in to today's webinar, Enabling Smart City Technology with eSIM. Today's webinar is brought to you by Teal, a wholly owned, patented, GSMA certified eSIM platform that's helping to connect any device anywhere in the world and to help streamline operations and save businesses money all over the globe. My name is Rob Monkman, and I'm the VP of Marketing here at Teal. And joining me today is Emmanuel Macera. And Emmanuel is a full stack IoT professional with experience up and down the value chain. He's worked at consumer OEMs, developing enterprise service business units, IoT platform solution providers, selling plug and play modules and apps. But his foundational experience is in the wireless industry, working for MNO and MVNOs for over 10 years. Today, we're going to go over some common connectivity challenges that are faced by smart city technology providers. We're going to give everybody an introduction to eSIM technology and also go through some of the benefits of this new technology as it applies to smart city technology companies. We're going to go through what success can look like by implementing eSIM, and then we can open it up for some Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, thanks for hosting today's webinar.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Rob. Well, let's start with the problem. So essentially, the poor availability and roaming restrictions of cellular networks throughout cities in North America and the rest of the world effectively limit the total addressable market for smart city business applications. And that kind of further reduces the economies of scale. So anything that you have to implement in one country, you may have to redesign down to the hardware to be able to expand to other countries. So that certainly is a major inhibitor to the growth of smart city tech. The other more obvious problem is the time and money lost. Right? So the back-end management of vendors and the connectivity management can sometimes be a full-time job in many enterprises simply because we're using the wrong technology. We're using legacy technology to manage connectivity in 2023. So truck rolls and SIM swaps are just the start of the cost of managing smart city deployments. And then the last kind of category of problems is really at the network layer. So I'm currently working with a large event vendor that does POS connectivity in highly congested environments, right? So think conventions or music festivals. And so the lack of redundancy, the lack of capacity, and the bandwidth constraints of legacy radio networks it really causes a problem when you're starting to build out and implement smart city solutions. One example before you move forward, I mean, you can think of kind of a major event of a network outage in a major market costing upwards of 150 million, $250 million. And by a lot of estimates, $500 million a day in network outages. This causes legacy providers to have to spend billions of dollars to be able to upgrade. So what we've done, if you go to the next slide, Teal's built for this, right? We are an IoT native connectivity platform. We are built to be able to resolve all of those three categories of issues that I mentioned. So we're to echo Rob's point, we're a GSMA certified remote SIM provisioning technology. We're built for IoT specifically across smart city applications, robotics, etc. We've solved these pain points for smart cities technologically with patented RSP and eSIM technology and we're full stack. So we own and operate everything down to the SIM OS and the GSMA certified data centers. So technologically, we've been able to implement this IoT native solution to solve the problems that we just mentioned. And then maybe more importantly, we've solved the business model constraints in terms of connectivity platforms, right? So we're agnostic to the network that you select throughout the world. We enable you to download and provision your SIMs over the air to take advantage of whichever networks and whichever network technologies suit your smart city application. So again, we've solved those 3 pain points technologically and in terms of a business model. So moving on, what does that mean? To the next slide, please. What is eSIM? It's not hype, right? And it's not even new. eSIM's been around for about 10 years. And everybody has a different definition. But what I will say is that eSIM is essentially software versus hardware, right? So now you can manage your connectivity provider thinking from a software lens rather than from a pre-configured hardware lens, right? So eSIM is essentially a dynamic digital over-the-air SIM card that you can manage post-deployment, and it tremendously simplifies supply chain. It simplifies your design, your hardware design even, and it gives you access to, as I said, a growing number of networks throughout the world. We have 3,500 networks already onboarded onto the Teal platform, and we're daily adding new networks. And one thing that differentiates us is that we are continually adding native core networks. So you see here on the right, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, all available through the Teal platform, digitally, dynamically, and natively, which gives you the full feature set, 5G, and all of the low power feature set of these native networks. Again, we're talking software versus hardware when we're talking eSIM, and that's form factor independent, right? Whether you're using iSIM or you're using a machine form factor SIM or a plastic removable SIM, all of these components essentially are software based with the Teal platform. Let's move on to the next slide, if you would, please. Let's talk about a couple of common use cases. The first, traffic management and sensors, right? Cameras. This is a really great use case for eSIM. When we have companies, and we personally do, I have someone that I'm working with that deploys edge devices with computer vision to do traffic management and public safety applications, right? So these devices use a ton of bandwidth when they're really pushing through 4K video in the case of an emergency, for instance. And what makes the eSIM, the Teal eSIM, so beneficial in this use case is not necessarily post-deployment switching of profiles, right? It's not always switching, it's a fixed deployment. What makes the Teal platform so beneficial for this use case is the fact that this company can go around the world and sell and know that when they install at a corner, a street corner, or at an overpass, they have dynamism programmability so that they can nearly guarantee themselves a solid connection, right? So that deployment plan, that elimination of site surveys is a tremendous value add for this particular use case. We know that drones are well suited for eSIM. So we have drone companies that have 4 different eSIMs, right? 5 different eSIMs installed so that that device can have connectivity beyond visual line of sight, right? What makes the eSIM so important in this instance is the fact that as these devices are deployed for infrastructure inspection across borders and such, they can do this knowing that we can program post-deployment, and you can use the same device, these very expensive drones, in different parts of the world to do infrastructure inspection, etc. Another customer that we have within the construction space uses our technology to monitor the curing of concrete in the construction space, the curing of concrete for foundations. So it's critical that concrete cure in a certain way, so they put sacrificial sensors that are then tied to gateways that connect using a Teal eSIM. And they're able to make sure that that foundation cures properly over time. And then in terms of the environment, which we all care about, we have customers using smart buoys to monitor water quality, air quality across protected marshlands, ponds and public parks, golf courses, etc. And they require our eSIM so that they can program that post-deployment and leverage the fact that they only need one SIM globally. Last but not least, and I think Rob's favorite category, EV charging. There are so many different applications of these EV charging stations. Obviously, the major one being charging these vehicles, right? So Honda, GM, BMW, all these folks just recently announced last week that they're going to improve and upgrade the electric charging infrastructure in the US by adding 30,000 superchargers across the United States. Now, essentially, those things are going to need eSIM connectivity. They're going to use our connectivity to be able to switch post-deployment, right? And to have redundancy at the network layer. It's not enough to plug in a static SIM and deploy these 30,000 devices on one network. You need that redundancy, you need that programmability. So that is what the Teal platform is built for. Moving on to the next slide, please, Rob. Beautiful. I'll just read this from the horse's mouth, as it were. Teal provides Volatus and its customers with on-demand access and real-time configuration on any supported mobile network worldwide, which translates into easy, fast, and reliable deployment of drones anywhere in the world. Again, these are very, very expensive pieces of equipment. They require expertise to be able to manage remotely. And this is a great customer of ours that's able to expand globally and expand its addressable market simply by virtue of the fact that its same device can be deployed anywhere in the world and the connectivity can be programmed remotely. Moving on to the next one. Probably, my favorite slide and one of our industry's coolest success stories. Starship does deliveries for DoorDash. They do delivery robots across college campuses and other places throughout the United States. And now I like to think with the help of Teal's global SIM throughout the rest of the world. So taking the Starship value proposition of delivering on time, efficiently, low cost meals or packages across college campuses and elsewhere. Obviously, the rest of the world saw what they were doing in the United States, and now they're growing exponentially globally and with the same SKU, right? We've enabled them to save time and money by reducing their vendors or their connectivity providers from 5 down to just 1, just our eSIM. And that gives them rather more than 5 connectivity partners, right? It gives them infinite connectivity partners as we onboard more and more providers, including the native core providers that I've mentioned earlier. They are also actually saving on their data rates, right? So Teal is built to basically enable our partners to connect to the networks they need. And we find more times than not, they're actually saving relative to their current providers or their previous providers. Improved performance, right? So they're not lacking in performance either. We're moving from an average with Starship of 100 millisecond latency to under 50 millisecond latency, which is critical for a device that has some safety implication and that rides and rolls amongst human beings, right? So we want to make sure that we have real-time access. And so our native core networks are critical in that aspect. The redundancy, as I keep mentioning, of our networks, it causes or it enables Starship to deploy with fewer points of failure. So they very rarely have network outages that cause them to miss a delivery. So that increases, obviously, customer satisfaction, and they have much happier deliveries. So in summary, I think that the flexibility and control that Starship experiences with Teal is essentially a value add that has allowed them to really satisfy their customers in their home market here in the United States, but has allowed them, more importantly, to go out and take that incredible technology that they've built and sell it across the world. Next slide. Yeah. So this is great. I mean, I'll just restate here exactly what I've been kind of repeating over the course of this call. eSIM is defined by its programmability, right? We've experienced a lot of different eSIM flavors, but what Teal defines as eSIM, programmability is imperative. You have the ability as our connectivity partner, as a customer of Teal, to go and switch the profile post-deployment, during manufacture. If there is troubleshooting required in the field, you're able to do virtual truck rolls, you're able to do profile switching and program your SIM as though it was software. That is critical. eSIM we view as a fundamental technology for the acceleration of smart city IoT. Programmability is fundamental and foremost in terms of eSIM, right? Native credentials, we talked about how not only do you have all this global SKU that allows you to connect to 3,500 networks throughout the world, you also have the added benefit of using local native profiles where your application, where your city requires it. The stability and redundancy of the eSIM platform that we built is bar none, GSMA certified, and IoT native. So we built it, it's wholly owned. And so we take pride in the stability and redundancy that we built in place in compliance with the GSMA. If you've been in this industry long enough, oh, forgive me, if we can go back one. If you've been in this industry long enough, I think that you've experienced technology sunsets and shutdowns. And there are ongoing shutdowns of the 3G networks throughout the world. To future-proof your business against those shutdowns, and also to enable your business to take advantage of future 5G features, is a really great value add that as you start to think about what eSIM enables for your business, you'll be able to open up new business units, new lines of revenue, and newer features for your end customers. And then lastly, we're GSMA accredited and highly secure. So if you go to the GSMA website, Rob will give it to you after the call if you ask him. You'll find that very few providers of commercialized eSIM are GSMA certified. So we are one of the few. We take pride in being US built, and we take pride in the fact that we're able to offer your business the ability to use eSIM the way it was intended. All right, so what makes us different, right? What makes Teal different from your existing or your current MVNO that provides you a global multi-MZ solution, or an MNO that gives you as that robust local core network, right? What makes us different is essentially the fact that we've combined the best of both worlds. So we have those global roaming profiles that allow you to connect anywhere in the world out of the box, similar to an MVNO, right? But then our SIM is programmable, so where you need it and where it's available, you can then download a local credential, a local native credential that gives you the full feature set of the network. So you can have your cake and eat it too with Teal. And we're essentially complementary to the existing ecosystem. And I like to think of us as kind of that glue that brings the whole network together to enable you to take advantage of the technology, the legacy technology, and the new technology that's being rolled out every single day by these carriers. And then total cost of ownership, I think, is something worth calling out. Now, I mentioned our data rates are very competitive, but what we found with our customers like Starship and other flagship customers, they save so much more money on their operations by reducing their truck rolls, reducing their site surveys, and reducing their design and redesign for global deployments, that the soft cost of the total cost of ownership greatly kind of compensates for any sort of data costs, right? So we compete very well on price, but it really is the fact that you have control over your connectivity over the air as a software service that creates tremendous value and allows you to, again, seek other revenue streams and manage your current deployments much more efficiently and remotely, most importantly. So again, I've already stated all of these as many times as I think Rob wants to hear, but I'll say it one last time. Teal is complementary to the mobile network operators, right? We are the eSIM layer. We give you more freedom and control than the MVNOs in terms of the ability to select your network of choice. It's not up to the SIM, it's up to you to determine. And then with Teal, you can program your eSIMs over the air. This is absolutely critical for anyone that doesn't have a massive field services business or management team. To be able to manage your connectivity remotely, as I said, is a tremendous value add for all of our customers. And then I'll read this last quote by Rob Tiffany, whom I'm sure you all know. No other cellular connectivity platform has more operator agreements today than Teal, and we fully expect to continue to lead in that category into the future. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next slide, we'll wrap this up. You know how to reach me directly via LinkedIn, or you can email me at emaceda@tealcommunications.com, hello@tealcom.io. Ping us on social or send us an email through our website. There are a million ways to reach us. I'll even give you Rob's private cell phone number. Thank you so much. Go to the next slide. Let's wrap this up. Beautiful. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Do reach out.
Well, there you have it. Nice presentation, Emmanuel, and thank you for taking the time to find out and learn how eSIM is helping to enable some of the key technologies that are driving the future of our smart cities forward. Please find out if eSIM is a good fit with your business. We'd love to share how we can help your company as we've helped many others. So contact a Teal expert like Emmanuel today. You can head over to tealcom.io and you can learn more on our website there. Thanks very much.